Welcome to the Life Success and Legacy podcast. We're glad you're here, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey, everybody. We want to welcome you back to this next episode of the Life Success Legacy podcast. I am Chris Bay, and I am joined by two amazing human beings. They've been guests on the show before, but we wanted to bring them back and re-explain what they do and the service that they provide, especially for our clients who I get asked all the time, how do I teach my kids about money, right? So we are bringing back our dear friends from Canada, Winnie and Emaghea. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hola.
How are things up north?
Spectacular.
Pretty spectacular. Flowers and all that.
Oh, I bet it is. So give people a little bit of a geography lesson, if you would, for the United States, for our United States central people, because we only think about ourselves as Americans, right? Give us a little geography lesson of Canada and where you guys are.
Something about Montana, right?
Yeah, we are just north of Montana. And so we're in the province of Alberta. Western.
I like that Emaghea turn says something about Montana, right?
Should have worn my cowboy hat.
That's it. So you guys are east of the Rocky Mountains, right? The range. But
Yes.
Where you are, it's more of like plains.
Flat. Yeah, in Alberta for sure. And we're definitely like east of the Canadian Rockies and north of Glacier National Park. So that's Glacier National Park is in Montana. And then when it hovers into Canada, we call it Waterton National Park. And so we happen to be in the capital city of Alberta.
Yeah. So for our listeners,
Oilers go.
Bunch of hockey freaks up there.
Gets intense.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, just to capture this, what I want you to get out of this is the resource that Winnie and Emaghea have for you, specifically if you have kids or grandkids that are in the age range of 3 to 13. That's the point of this podcast, is we're trying, Life Success and Legacy is trying to bring a resource to you because you all have asked so many times, how do we educate our kids about money? Okay, so that's what we're aiming for, is to give you a picture of what their program that they've developed for parents to support and educate their kids, Cash Smart for Life. That's the goal of this. Okay, so before we get there, how did you learn about IBC? How were you introduced to IBC?
Well, for myself, I was introduced to IBC probably late 2008. Really started to get into it 2009. We started exploring in 2009. And then in 2010, I started pursuing my life insurance license, specifically to share the infinite banking concept. But really, it was a bit of a journey to end up, like, I feel it really comes down to one decision that I made. And that was just a year after she was born. And so in the year 2000, essentially, I decided that I wanted to have a better life. I wanted to thrive, not just survive, because I already was only making $9 an hour, $10,000 in debt, and was briefly a single parent for that period of time as well. And I just thought, like, it's not like I'm not single anymore. Like, carrying debt or whatever, it would have been fine. But now I have this, little bitty girl, that I have to look after. It's not just me anymore, right? And I feel like that one decision really led me to, it helped me to focus on all the other decisions or all the other things that really came into my periphery because I made that decision, such as real estate investing, right? Passive income. And so with real estate, I got in right before the the boom here in Canada, right? And got into a property that was like worth 131,000 in 2004, and then within 3 year period that went from a value of 130,000 to 375,000. Okay, and I was now in my late 20s. Actually, I was your age now,
Now what
right?
Emaghea is now. Yeah.
Now,
And
yeah.
and I'm thinking to myself, what? 131,000 to 375,000 within a 3 year period? Like when you're late 20s, you think, let's do this over and over and over again. Come on.
It's always going to
Right?
be good like this, right?
Oh yeah, it's
Kind of like
always it.
Nelson Nash talks about in his book, right?
Right.
You
And
never
so
expect it to go down.
exactly. Because and then I took, my ex and I took that and we just leveraged, like, the equity from it to buy more properties. And with more properties, well, guess what? It's not like that that equity buys out the whole property. It was like down payments for other properties. But then where does the other money come from? From the sale. It comes from the lending of the banks, right? So from 2004 to then now 2008, 2009, the sub like five within 5 years. Okay, the first five
Yeah.
years of owning a bunch of real estate for the first time, the subprime market hits, and all of a sudden, oh, my 1 million plus portfolio, real estate portfolio, is now worth nothing. Oh, what I owe to the bank is more than what the value of the property is. Oh, and to boot, the rental market, I can't even charge enough to cover all the expenses of all of these mortgages and like the property tax and the insurance that go with all of that. So it was actually cheaper for my ex and I to subsidize, right? Subsidize renters living in our property than it than it was to sell it, because if we were to try to sell it, we would lose our shirts, plus we would have to come up with a lump sum payment to the bank to make up the difference between what we owe to the bank and what we could actually get for it. So it was actually better to just like pay up the rest of what renters couldn't.
Pay for their rent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I keep saying X because the amount of stress this financial stuff brings
Yeah.
to the table in a relationship. I mean, it was, it had a pretty detrimental effect on our
We've been
relationship.
there. We've been there.
Yeah, so painful. And I would say that uh because of that, how IBC came into my, like, how it came into my periphery was like, um when you start knowing that there's a strong relationship to the bank with everything that you do, you don't realize until you hit that point. We owed so much to the bank and we had to make a payment. We had very little control and it didn't matter. The banks didn't actually really care about, what we were going through. They just wanted their money, right? And
Yeah.
so, and because we were very strong in the real estate investing community, there was actually like a US um, a US product that was in the Alberta marketplace, which was all about like debt reduction. And that product, of course, was I don't know. We couldn't sell it in Alberta anymore. But that same company also kind of gave us like a little bit of a seed that we then investigated. And it had to do with Nelson's book.
Yeah.
Right? And so that seed of curiosity, got us and our colleagues interested. And so I can't take all the credit for it, but my colleagues and I here in Canada, we were the initial crew that really took it to the Canadian marketplace, and really started teaching it in 2010 and beyond. And so that's how I got into the infinite banking concept. And you're right, Chris. I mean, so many people ask, like, okay, this is great now that we got this all set up, but we don't want our kids to blow it all.
Yeah, right. It's the
Right.
education piece that's so important. It's not passing on the money or the policies, or I mean, you can pass those things on, but if they don't know what to do with it, it's not worth anything. So Emaghea, you're growing up in all of this, right? Do
Mhm.
you recall like hearing the letters IBC? What do you recall, and when did you learn about infinite banking? And this is part of
Okay.
what created the program that you guys now have designed, is your lived experience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, no, well, it's actually crazy hearing my mom talk about her story of how IBC came into her life, and mine was definitely a lot more simpler than that. But like she said, age when 2018, so I probably would have been, 2008, I probably would have been 8 or 9.
Mhm.
And when my mom started teaching it fully to other people, that's when she started creating like boot camps or workshops, things like that. And I mean, she needs to perform in front of some sort of audience beforehand, and that audience was me. So, it wasn't like it's not like I was like, "Wow, mom, what a great concept" at like 10. I was
No,
just
no kid is.
like,
No.
and at the time I was actually going to an alternative project-based school, so my feedback was like, "There's way too many words on the slide. Doesn't interest me. Throw some pictures up there, please." And that was
Mhm.
like that was just my feedback, and she would repeat it over and over again. So I was just more like watching her body language than taking in the actual information. But subconscious information is some of the most powerful. So throughout the years, definitely I've heard IBC. It's been around me for a very long time. Become your own banker. BYOB meant two things to me growing up. And and yeah, I mean, um until I was around 18, 19, when my mom got me to take over some of the policies that she had put in place, that's when I started gaining more of that information of how to use them when I was putting them into practice. Or and truthfully, until 2020, when me and my mom started building out the Cash Smart for Life program together, instead of her just doing it on her own and us incorporating it into our program, is when I really started to learn how the IBC concept works. And then she wanted me to become licensed. And then, I'm getting to learn I'm getting to sit in on everything. And it's blowing my mind. Just like when I saw you at Think Tank this year, everything
Yes.
from somehow the seeds in the back of my head. I mean, this concept, like my mom had explained when she came across the concept, it's literally like a tiny seed that's planted, and sometimes it can take years for someone to even become interested in learning it. And that's exactly what happened with me growing up. But it wasn't so much of like a shock, right? It's not like, here's IBC, this is how you use it. It's like I kind of gradually knew a bunch about it, and now I'm like really diving deep into how everything works. And
Mhm.
that's
And to add to what you're saying, Imagia, like the back in 2020, when we started doing this together, of course, we know what hit 2020,
Yeah.
in the world, right? And it was also a testament, because she was already out on her own for 2 or 3 years already, right? Because she moved out shortly after she turned 18. And everything that I had been teaching her, the Cash Smart for Life, everything that we talk about in the Cash Smart for Life program, I had been pouring into her since she was 4,
Mhm.
right? And so, um, it- but after 3 years of her being out on her own with a server's job, housekeeper's job, like, I mean, these are minimum wage jobs with
Mhm.
propensity to increase income with tips, but they're
Yeah.
not like, I mean, at best, even with the server, sometimes your shifts get cut short, sometimes like they're a whatever, right? This is not like she's not a post-secondary kid,
Yeah.
right? And so the fact that she was able to stand on her own 2 feet, very like, except for like maybe, hey, can you spend like 50% on this thing for my birthday? You know,
Mhm.
she never asked for money. She was able to handle her finances. She was able to manage her cash flow, even even with this kind of a job, right? Like, I mean, I still worry about her in different, like, when she was out on her own, but in a different way. I wasn't worried about her ability to stand on her own 2 feet. I'd be more like worried about her safety and things like that.
Sure,
And
sure.
but that's different.
But mind you too, like, yes, I was able to do all of this on my own, but I also had extreme open communication with my parents about money. So
Yeah.
there was always an open communication back and forth, which I'm very thankful for because it's not an awkward, closed off conversation. And I mean, my mom has said it quite a bit throughout me growing up, but she's like, money has been a true reason of why we've stayed close. And yeah, it's brought us closer together for sure.
Mhm.
Which is
So
beautiful.
your lived experience and Winnie, your experience in learning the relationship of banks and money, all of this kind of came into this beautiful stew, right? And got to play out as Emaghea growing up. And now you have taken this to create a tool, a resource for other people that they can now use. What was the seed? We've talked about seeds, right? What was the seed that sprouted into Cash Smart for Life? How did that come to about? So, oh, we could probably put something together that could be helpful to other people. How did that happen?
I think there's multiple different seeds of like milestones, honestly.
I did like if okay, so there's a few different things. So it did start also with she was in that alternate based like project based school. And so as a part of the project based school, that also means no homework, meaning all homework and projects get done at school. That was such a win for me. I hate homework.
Yes, yes.
Like, why is it that when you send your kids to like school, they come home with homework and then the parents are expected to do homework with the kids?
This interview is turning into therapy. I feel it.
I hated it. I put her into this school after going through this grade 1, grade 2, and it did not bring out the best in me. I would tell you, trying to do homework with your kids when it's like the last thing you want to do is homework again. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Anyways, the trade-off to a project-based school is that you do have to volunteer 10 hours a month at the school. And so this also meant that I would have to exchange my time at some point to hang out with a whole bunch of kids because a project-based school requires all hands on deck. No teacher, no education's assistant can handle a project-based school. Many parents have to help in order to have all these ongoing projects in place. And so instead of me walking around going, do you need help, kid? Do you need help, kid? Do you need help, kid? No, I just started Money Club for Kids. Right. So that was one of my first versions of taking education to the kids. But I did this for about 4 or 5 years. And what I noticed is that the kids really liked it, but there's no way to there's no way to enforce it. There was no way to it was not sustainable because it was not being supported by the parents at home where it matters. Right. So this is also one of the huge reasons why Emaghea and I also believe that this isn't something that you can actually teach in school. This has to be done by the parents, and it should be done by the parents, because it can do so much more than that. So that's where I learned the first the iteration of teaching money to kids. Except it was that was my 5-year realization. Is like no kids. Parents.
I think there was even a seed as well before that too, where it's like you were raising me kind of with this money system that you had in place, and by the time I was like 8 and all these things, I was paying for my big plan purchases.
Yes. That's true. Yeah.
And counting my money back at the register and like paying for my first laptop when I was 13, and this shift in basically seeing my mom as the source of money. That was a big thing that I think she noticed, which then definitely brought her to teach Money Club at my school because it was such a shift. Also, I'm an only child, right? So she could just be thinking one off like, oh, my daughter's just great. Let's see how the other kiddos are doing.
Yeah.
Yes. And Yeah.
I'm an
And
only also, and we are amazing, aren't we?
yeah.
Well, that was such an attitude of an only child.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Oh no. Let's bring it back in.
Yes. Well, and I even did like on my own attempt to bring it to my own community where I lived.
Mhm.
Like went through the town that I lived in, and brought that program for the town, and so it was advertised um there as well, and so we did attract some parents there.
Mhm.
And then really the encouragement and a different kind of seed got sprouted at February of 2020, like just like literally weeks before the world shut down. you
Mhm.
know um Chris, you were at that was the last time I spoke at Think Tank, actually.
Yeah. Yep.
And all I was doing was just talking about like things that I do to service clients, like things that I attempt to do. And I like to hold space for education. It's always been a thing that I just really have enjoyed doing. And so I mentioned something about like where I coach parents to coach kids, and you're like, what? Talk about this more?
I want to hear
Like,
more about this. Well,
so
obviously, with my background in education, I was interested, but
yeah,
also from our client base, we just don't have that resource. And so, and I'm very much about in the spirit of collaboration, right? Rather than competition. Um, Plus, because you're in Canada and I'm in the US, we can't compete anyway, but we can collaborate, and you have a resource that is available to all of our clients. So
yes.
that's why you're here. That's why we want you to share what you guys have created for our client base. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And so, yeah, here we are. So in 2020, I just thought, oh man, this is so good. I don't have to do this by myself. I think it's actually going to be better if, like, this is the perfect timing.
No,
Mhm.
I think not only that, I think my mom thinks eons ahead. I think she somehow from birth
She's
planned
had
this
this
whole thing out.
planned. She's the
I
mad
kid you
scientist.
not. She thinks so far ahead. And there was like all these little seeds when I was younger growing up, and then I turned 18, and then all my experience after moving out of the house, COVID hit. She's like, this is a good opportunity to slide in. I think, Emaghea, it is time for you to become your own flying bird. Okay, I don't know what metaphor I just used there, but anyway, yeah, 2020, there my mom is.
Yeah. It was a good time. I mean, because it kept her out of trouble, because I mean, she couldn't serve at
Mhm.
that time because you couldn't sit at restaurants to
Yeah.
eat with anyone. And I thought, hey, honestly, it was living proof. She's living proof that when you coach your kids, about finances and managing cash flow, and again, really, that was my hope. It was my hope that she could
Mhm.
stand on her own 2 feet, because I moved out quite young, right? But it honestly, it really didn't dawn on me. It's like, oh yeah, I guess it did work,
Yeah.
you know? And I thought this program is going to be so much better if we can do this together,
Mhm.
so that everyone can just talk to her. She's like the living proof.
Yeah. She knows it inside and out.
She's my
She
pudding.
she's lived,
Oh,
it's the lived
I'm my pudding.
experience. So personally, I love the story and the context. And Winnie, I don't know that I've ever heard your full story about like the real estate stuff and all of that. That was really impactful for me to hear. Um, so now that we kind of have the context of how this all came to be, I'd love to give our listeners some meat and potatoes. I'd love for them to walk away with a feel of, okay, if we decide that if we've got kids or grandkids that are in this age 3 to 13, which is kind of your target age, right? If that's us and we really want to like start to learn what we can do for our kids, what are describe your program. What do they need to know about it?
Well, I would say that this program consists of 8 modules that we do over 7 weeks. And basically, in the first 5 modules, we'll teach you exactly the system that my mom taught me.
Hmm.
Like give you the system to then teach your kids how to manage their money.
You lay out the
Everything,
roadmap, you lay the
the
breadcrumbs
roadmap,
out for them. They just have to follow it with their
even
kids.
just have to follow with their kids. Even the verbiage, everything. We've made it. I mean, I thought my mom was being like detail orientated before, but now growing up, I think that every step that she had done along the way has paid off humongous. I love using that word. It's a weird word. Has paid off humongously in my life. And then basically, so the first 5 modules is how to set up the money management system for your kid. And the last 3 modules is how to basically integrate IBC into your life, and how modules 1 through 5, which is the foundation building stage, really sets up your children to integrate IBC into their life, which is modules 6 through 8, which is the legacy building stage. And it is a full around circle of how to create generational wealth. So, I mean, honestly, I'm still blown away by it. I mean, every single time we coach the program, I'm like more blown away by what we're teaching, just because I'm also learning it, and it's pretty phenomenal of a
Well,
cycle.
I just think it's powerful when people take their own lived experience and they can use it to then help others. I mean, people ask me all the time, they're like, well, how do you get people interested? I say, I just tell them our story. We were a single income family. We owed money to our healthcare providers. We were struggling. We didn't go on vacations. We didn't go out to eat. We had arguments about money. Winnie talked about the stress of that, right? Stressful in a relationship. And we learned about IBC from somebody, and 26 months later, we were free of all of our outside debt. And I stopped. I just think it's powerful when you get to share. Isn't that what life's about? Like, oh, here's something that I learned through my struggles or from my experience, and now I get to share it with somebody else. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, okay, say I'm a parent of a 3-year-old, and you're talking about setting up a money system for a 3-year-old. I mean, I don't want you to give everything away, but what in the world does that look like?
Well, I'll tell you this. We just our last course launch, one of the parents, I believe she had like a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and she involved her 2-year-old in it, and her 2-year-old was picking it up. Obviously, it's a smaller scale of what they're going to be able to intake within it, but still, like, the younger one is going to follow the older one no matter what. And she was already impressed by how much her little 2-year-old was like kind of gung-ho about
Getting it,
what,
yeah.
yeah, and it was so cool. Yeah.
We don't give enough credit to, the little ones. They may not be formulating all of their sentences properly yet, but they understand us. They understand us. They're paying attention to all of our nonverbal communication. They're paying attention to our energy around those words.
Body language.
Yep. And the energy in our body language. And so they're already watching. They're already watching anyways. So just
and not only just watching as well, but like money is such a physical presence in our life with emotions, and any baby can pick up on emotions.
We all have a relationship with money, don't we?
In some sort of way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious, as you have been teaching these modules with families, with parents, do you have favorite parts that jump out? Like when you think about the different, what's coming up, or do you have favorite parts of the modules that you get excited about?
Yes, absolutely. So we during the program itself, we all are in a group chat. So we get to update each other. All the parents get to update each other on maybe the tasks that we've assigned. And once they finish, they get to like, share photos. One of our favorites is basically we hold a ceremony. For the parents hold a ceremony for their kids, introducing money as like a concept of something that they're going to be learning inside their family culture. It's an exciting thing. We want money to be an exciting thing because it's a part of our lives as soon as it's just a part of our lives. And so we give the parents kind of very loose, honestly, guidelines of or ideas of like, hey, a ceremony, think of a ceremony as like a birthday, like what's something you do to make something special or important to your kids.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, these photos that we received back after the parents have done their ceremony are some of like, it makes me want to cry every time. They are each, you can tell almost what kind of family they are based on their ceremonies, how they host things. And that is my favorite part, is seeing how parents come together to make a celebration or inviting something into their family so special and exciting. That's my favorite part for sure.
And little bit by little bit, I feel like our course is also special, not just because of our dynamic, but because we really do plant a lot of seeds to change the narrative, to really change the narrative, not only for the child, but for the family, like even for the parents, because it doesn't just impact the kids. This very much impacts the parents as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we've mentioned kind of we all have a relationship with money, and that's not always a positive, uplifting, energy giving relationship. For many people, it can be a very, very negative relationship. So to be able to turn that and celebrate it, I'm curious, Winnie, was this celebration idea, is that something new in the program you included, or did you actually do that with Emaghea when she was growing up?
I don't think that we did that.
It was no. It's
No?
not like she took a program to teach me how to teach money, right?
Right,
She was
right.
just like, wow, let's just see if this will work, because in general, she wanted a better life for me than she had growing up, which is I mean, something that I'm learning throughout teaching this program is all these parents who take it and I hear their story, all they want is to give their kids a better chance of having a relationship with money than they ever did. So it's very emotional. And so my mom didn't do that for me, but she created this for other parents. But again, the celebration is just one part of it. I mean, she really did give me a gift of eternal financial, emotional intelligence.
That's fantastic. So you say it's a live course, right?
It is currently.
But does that mean I'm going to be traveling if I sign up for this? Does that mean I'm traveling to Canada? Do you do this virtually? What's it look like?
I mean, I wish we could all do it in a room. Eventually. No, these every module is hosted online via Zoom. It is an 8-module course, but it happens over 7 weeks. And these modules sessions are 90 minutes.
Okay.
90 minutes a week.
90 minutes a week. So it's a time commitment, which is good. I'm guessing that there's a financial commitment as well to it.
There is. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And are you comfortable sharing what that financial commitment is
yes.
to people? Because I'm just curious, our people are going to want to know like what's involved in it, what's it cost, what's the time commitment, all those things. So
sorry, I had a brain frog there.
Brain
fog. There. Yes. So as of right now, the course is $1,500.
Okay.
It might be bumping up here shortly. It is $1,500 for the first 10 sets of parents, and then it bumps up to $2,000 just because we're doing a special offer as of right now.
So
Canadian.
if it bumps up,
Canadian currency.
Our listeners that's Canadian currency. Okay.
Yeah.
So if our listeners, they can blame us because of when we released it. If it's no longer 1,500, it's because we didn't get this released in time for them to get that deal, right? So they can blame Life Success and Legacy for that.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Okay.
No, I think it's just we also have a convention coming up, and so the first 10 sets of parents might happen from there as well.
They might get it there. Okay.
Yeah.
And if I sign up for this, you say it's live, so when does this start?
So this starts in October of 2025.
Okay.
And we do, based on how many parents sign up, you could be in, we won't make it confusing, but it is, it takes up basically all of October because it's 7 weeks,
Mhm.
and then it goes a bit into November.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And tell the listeners, how can they find out more about this? What is there a website? Should they like contact you? What are the options where they can learn? Because we have different learning styles. Some people want to just, they want to snoop around on your website, but other people are like, no, I want to talk to somebody.
Oh yeah, I totally get it. I'm someone who likes to talk to somebody instantly, get
Yeah.
all the nitty gritty, but you could check us out on our website, which is www.cashsmartforlife.com. You can roam around there for a bit. There is options on there to book a call, but also you'll have a link as well. I would suggest the way to get the most information to get all of your little questions answered would just be to book a call with me.
Yeah.
To see if we are even a good fit for the Cash Smart for Life program.
So you bring that up. It's a question I've wanted to ask. Who is this for and who's it not for, right? Because we all know sometimes it's a good fit, sometimes it's not. So like, who's the ideal parent that could really thrive in your program?
So for myself, it's like, there is never a really good time. Like sometimes there could be perfect timing, but there's no such thing as perfect timing, right? And timing could always be an excuse to not do something. So the value, someone has to really, like, who this is for is someone is for parents who can really see the value in starting something like this now, like implementing a program like this now. If you were to count out how many weeks are left before they potentially could move out of the house, it actually isn't that many, right?
Wow.
And so I'm just saying that in my experience, like, it just so happened that I was able to start her off at 4, and she was out of the house in 14 short years. Right? And if had I not really took the time to make this a part of her, her world, her, like, a part of her thinking process, try convincing someone in their 18-year-old. It's like, okay, you need to take a part of this of your income and plan this out. It would have been much more of a struggle.
Oh yeah.
Right? And so I think, like, again, it's for parents who can really see the value of doing this, doing it for their children right now, and also establishing, like, if you feel like there's some level of distance, you want more connection with your child. And sometimes, our life as a parent can really, we can get involved in our own things in our mind, right? Sometimes we're not even as present as we could be with our own kids. This is a great opportunity for you to create a connection with your child, have a meaningful subject and a meaningful thing to do together.
Something
Right?
other than asking them if they've done their homework.
Yes, correct. Right? Like, we're just bringing them to, like, their physical activities, right? Like, because you can have certain conversations, and your kids can maybe remember you for being supportive of their sports and things like this, but this is something very different. This is something that can stay with them well after they're out of the house. You can bring another level of a relationship with them after they move out. Like, Emaghea talked about it. She was able to talk to me about money well after she left the house. She still talks to me about money and certain things, right? Like, this is something that lasts for a long time, right? Who else is this for?
Well, and
What
to
I
add
hear you
on,
saying is
Yeah.
people who are intentional, parents who are intentional, and they want something more and maybe even better for their kids, and they're willing to commit and invest the time and the relationship into building this for their kids' future.
yeah, and to add on to that as well, it's so beautiful because I really do find that this program, what we teach, the money system, not only helps them in their lifetime, but also growing up with this money system and this respect I have for money and the relationship I have with money, it is very clearly something that I will be teaching my children as well. So it is
Mhm.
something. I mean, and then there's IVC on the back, like
Right,
there as well.
right.
Like there's so many tools here within the program, but it is something that truly I know will last my legacy with my children and beyond, right? Because it's knowledge that you pass down. You want to make sure that everybody knows how to use it and how it works. So, I don't know. I think it's the whole package of something very beautiful.
I am
Mm-hmm.
so excited to get this posted for our listeners and for those that it will apply to. And even if you don't have kids, but if you have brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles who have kids in this age range, 3 to 13, please pass this information along to them. Think of what we could do, the ripple effects of the impact we could make for young people if a group of us did this with our kids, right? Think of what that could mean generationally for your family. It's just, I am so grateful for you guys taking your life experience as a mother and a daughter and
Mhm.
putting that together. The thought, I know you guys so well. I know you've put
Mhm.
so much time and energy into crafting this so it's the best product and program for people to use with their kids. So thank you for that investment. Really appreciate that. Yeah. Winnie, I'm watching the clock and I know I got to get you off because you've got something you need to run to. So I'm going to zip my mouth, right? Again, they can find you at Cashmart. Give us the contact again, Emaghea.
It's at
Mhm.
www.cashsmartforlife.com, and you can book a meeting with me there, or just book a quick call with me wherever you post this.
Yeah. So to our listeners, please take the opportunity to book a call with Emaghea, ask the questions, find out more context, see if it applies for you or someone that you know. And thank you both for being a part of our podcast. It's always good to see
Oh
you.
my God.
Thanks.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Thanking me. I'm thinking I need to thank you.
It's all good.
Thank you.
It's fun. The podcast is like a homie, you know. I enjoy these.
So, to our listeners, thanks again for joining us for this episode. Please check out Cash Smart for Life, and we'll have the information. Mike Crawford will get that available in the notes, and check it out for you. And thank you again, ladies. So appreciate you being a part of this. Take care.
Thank you.